All right, guys, another episode of Shellonomics here. This is the ending of our long journey with Josh here. We are wrapping up with 3 years of vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys, 95, 96, and yes, 97. Even though the cartoon was done, I guess I'm not sure why 97 counts, but Josh will give us that info. Josh, let's get right into it, my man. 1995. So give us a little background on this year.
95, we're coming into the home stretch on Ninja Turtles toys. Like we've talked about, 91, 92, 93 were really big years. 94 kind of slows down a little bit. 95, we see a big slowdown, and then obviously 96, 97, we see even bigger slowdowns. 97 for the vintage run, it's the last set of figures based on the vintage line from the original run. Anything made after this is based on a new series. People are going to say, oh, but Super Mutants aren't based off the original series. Yeah, but they're like an import from Japan, and they are based off an actual cartoon and comic book and all that stuff. So they were actual figures, being released. Just the U.S. market had no idea about any of that at the time. But with today's, the internet, everybody knows everything, and we know where all of them came from and all that. But then you end up with the next mutation figures after this, and they actually start in 97 as well, I believe.
Yeah, I think they are in there. All right,
Yep.
so yeah, with our vintage toy, so I guess we'll stick with the anime now. We're filming this in April of 2025. I may be wrong, but for those who don't know, yes, there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anime. It's 2 episodes. I believe you could probably find it on YouTube somewhere. I actually own the
I
DVD.
believe I believe so.
Yeah, I was hyped to watch this. I think it's really good subbed anime. Some good comedy in there. The theme song's kind of cool. Go Turtles. So an English spot. So let's talk about the American ones first. The Super Mutation, the Super Mutant line here.
Yeah. This is a really cool line. It doesn't get the credit it deserves because the 4 turtles are kind of janky, and I get that. But Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder from this line, I'll show you. This is my favorite Shredder mold of the entire vintage line.
These are ones you
they're
kept.
just-
Interesting. When we did an episode earlier, you were saying the ones you were just keeping are basically your 88s and 89s, and nice.
I haven't kept much that isn't an 88 or 9, but I opened this one off the card. He's complete. This one's just so cool. He's got the amazing helmet sculpt, the really cool armor. He's got spikes coming out the top with like the Shredder style claws coming off the side. His just cool. His little belt stash thing. Everything's cool. His weapon's awesome. It's got like the spring activated function that just swings
wow.
his claw forward.
It works really good too.
Absolutely. And then his little other weapon is basically Talking Don's little weapon, but they took off the little bandana piece and put these little. It's just a slight remold of Talking Don's little piece. But so Bebop, Rocksteady, Shredder, and Splinter are all very cool. The super line. Splinter is almost Egyptian looking. Bebop and Rocksteady, Bebop has like a really punk look, very cool mohawk. Rocksteady, very cool green color. They took some artistic liberties with the characters, but I think it's very cool. And then the weapons from this line are amazing all the way around. All 4 turtles, Bebop, Rocksteady, Splinter, Shredder. Just top of the line weapons, lots of action features. Like I said, these are not scaled with most of the other vintage line. They're taller, so a lot of people don't like them for that fact as well. But I think they really stand out on a shelf. A lot of people ask questions about them. A lot of people never even knew they existed. But like we talked about with YouTube and the internet, you can watch the Japanese anime and get an idea of it. Oh, and they also released the figures in Japan with the manga comics or whatever that explain the whole backstory. So very cool figures. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Pretty valuable. I'm not exactly sure on value. I'm sure the turtles are somewhere in the $50 to $60 range. And then Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, and Splinter all go up from there. Splinter probably being the cheapest out of those four, Shredder being the most expensive. I would think a loose complete Shredder probably runs you 150 to 200 range, probably, depending on how nice you want it. Bebop and Rocksteady are over 100, I'm sure. Bebop has a really intricate gun that shoots like hand grenade missiles, so those are pretty hard to come by. Like I always say, buy it complete.
Yeah, and make sure you got Splinter's tail, because everyone still makes they always forget these tails, man, on our toys.
Absolutely.
You got
So,
him, Dirtbag, Triceratons, all those tails. Can you pull out that Shredder again real quick? Does he have the foot soldier logo on his chest? He's got something on his chest when you pulled it
absolutely. Up. That's the Foot Clan logo there.
Is that cool?
I mean, it's an awesome figure, man.
Yeah, we could definitely see it. Wow. Yeah, I like that one. And I thought, I mean, these guys, I'm thinking this was just another try to get at Power Rangers, because they go from like basic turtles to like these super mutants is like their backstory, and they have these sharp looking like bandanas, almost like a WWF wrestler back in the day with this like these masks are not bandanas anymore. Yeah, yep. I like Bebop a lot. Shredder, like you say, is probably one of the cooler ones. Real fantastic job, and a great, almost like again like a last hurrah for our turtles. And then one that I didn't even really know is there are also Super Turtles, the Japanese Super Mutants. So how rare are these? And can you tell us a little bit about these, Josh?
Okay, so the four turtles, and then Saint Turtle and Dark Shredder are all the Japanese Super Mutant figures. They're on to scale with the rest of the vintage line. They're not as tall as the release Super Mutants, and the weapons are also scaled down a little bit, but the weapons remain the same. This Shredder is not the Japanese release of Shredder. The Japanese release of Shredder is almost like a Godzilla mech and Shredder all in one. It kind of transforms, the head flips around. I've got a couple of them, but I don't have them handy somewhere in storage. I wish I would have thought about it. I'd have broken them out, but they're highly collectible. The Saint Turtle fetches a pretty good premium, and so does Dark Shredder. Now, Dark Shredder comes in the black version and a gray version. I think the black version's a little more sought after. I think it's got some glow in the dark parts on it, maybe something like that. And the Saint Turtle as well. Some super hard to find pieces in there. There's like a back to the shield, like a little hand grip or something to the shield for that Saint Turtle, and it's always missing in the loose ones, and I doubt you'd ever find one.
So can you explain what the Saint Turtle is? It's not like you went to church or anything. So
the Saint Turtles, so it's almost like a Power Rangers type thing. They say it's Morphin time, but they kind of do a thing like that. They combine their powers together and they create this Saint Turtle. He's like chrome. He's got Leo's bandana on his head, and then he's got like Mikey, Wrath, and Don on like the legs on arms. Like, so he's got all four colors of bandanas on. He's got like a really cool sword and wings, like an archangel type character. Epic figures. They're super cool. I want to say, like, I mean, you can get them, but most of the time you're going to be buying them from somebody in Japan, so you got to do the whole international shipping thing. They fetch a premium. I bet they're over $200 now. Not really positive on that market. It's been a long time since I looked at them, but yeah, awesome. Those Japanese ones are some of the most underrated figures in the vintage line. Definitely.
Yeah, like our pre-NECA, I guess, pretty much. Just again, it's no disrespect to the American line, but just these foreign toys. They just, I don't know if there's just more passion behind it or what they do, but Those toys always seem to
Absolutely.
pop a little bit more than our American ones. So those are two big sets done already. Let's go ahead. We've got a couple more here in this line. Let's do. I'm a big wrestling guy. WrestleMania wasn't too far away. How about these sumo turtles? We got two of them.
Sumo Turtles. We got two of them. You got Raph and Mikey. Exact same mold for each one. They both came with the exact same sandals. You got the little hair piece on top that's always missing on them, so you got to be careful for that. They come with gold coins, which that's something that started around this year, the 94, 95 era. They're just a plastic coin that says Sumo Turtles. Pretty neat little kind of collector's item. There are people that collect those alone. Uh, the Sumo Turtles are, I mean, we all know that. I bet they're 1,000 now. It's crazy.
Well, don't they
They're,
have sandals too, right? That's I think if I recall.
yeah, they both come with the exact same sandals.
Okay.
And those sandals are notorious for ripping right there at the center of the toe, so you got to be careful with them. Mikey comes with some chucks and a staff, maybe, like with a blade on it, and then Raph is the size and I'm trying to think. I don't know.
That's sort of like
It
spear type
doesn't
thing, probably, right?
irrelevant. But like I said, I'm pretty sure these are somewhere near $1,000 mark by now. I mean, it'd be pretty safe to say the $750 to $1,000 mark, loose complete. Very sought after by collectors and very tough to find.
Speaking of tough to find, these ones, I actually did own all three of these during my run of trying to get every toy. The Adventurer Turtles, I thought these guys were cool. You had three of them.
Very cool. This is a weird one where we didn't get a Wrath. It's usually we don't get a Don or something, but we didn't get a Wrath in this one. Seen a few custom what ifs of the Wrath over the years, and people do a pretty good job with it. But this is another one of them late in the line. You get Safari Mike, Arctic Don, and
Deep Sea.
okay. Deep Sea Leo, that's right. Deep Sea Leo is kind of a goofy, goofy figure. The original head sculpt was not way better, but better. They changed it to fit inside that helmet.
Oh.
Because that was like one of the important parts of the figure when they were making it, I guess. I remember seeing the hard copies. They had two different head sculpts on that one, and one was a lot cooler looking, but a little bigger. So Arctic Don does come with a variant on this one. His gun, they all come with like a backpack squirt gun type thing, and on Don's it's a penguin backpack that squirts out in like almost like a missile launcher or like grenade launcher type gun. So the first releases of him, there's a ring of ammunition around the barrel. They call them grenades. So it's like a tan clip around or a tan ring, ammunition ring around the green barrel of that gun. And the later releases of it, it was not there. It's always been said that it was a choking hazard issue. I don't know how true that is, but that's what's always said about it. And then, like I said, you got Safari Mike, which is kind of like a down under, kind of like Crocodile Dundee type character. Very cool line, very sought after again. These are probably in the $400 to $500 range, loose complete, I'm sure, something like that. Another one that comes with the gold coin. The coin is the same for all three, just like the Sumo ones have the same one. These three have the same one. It just says Adventurer Turtles.
Damn it. No, again, you had all those. Did you have a favorite out of those three?
Definitely not Leo.
Yeah, maybe he just looked kind of goofy.
Yeah, and his accessories are goofy, and the like squid back or octopus backpack thing just doesn't work well. But Don is cool. The penguins are cool. Mikey's kind of got a monkey backpack. The monkey's not really. I mean, the monkey's probably the worst part about it. I'm gonna go with Don as the coolest one. Yeah, he's got the really cool the snowshoes, the ice pick, the penguins, and the grenade launcher gun, and he's got like a really cool parka. Yeah, I'm going with Don on that one.
Yeah, and Sam, Mikey's our guy usually. But yeah, Indiana Jones Mike comes up short a little bit here for the top choice. All right, let me go into these ones that are, I would say, are probably hard to find complete. These winged warrior characters. Well, yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry. There's two that are winged, right? And then there's just three warriors in this warrior set.
it's just the Warriors line. You get the two. I think it's Warrior Winged. Technically, is how it's said on the card, but
Yeah,
everybody says Winged War. Everybody says Winged
yeah,
Warrior. Me and you know that.
yeah.
And then you got Donatello and Leonardo there. That's like some sort of evil versions of Don and Leo. I don't remember. I remember reading the bio cards when I had them. And yeah, there were some sort of evil versions of them. They're awesome figures. The wings are always broken off. They're always
Yep.
missing armor. Uh, so you could get gold or silver weapons on Leo and Don for the warrior winged. Uh, Neither one of them is more rare than the other, but people like to match it up. I think Leo has silver armor, so people like the silver armor with him, and Don has the gold armor. Or I think it's vice versa. Don has the silver armor, Leo has the gold armor. So people always try to pair up the weapons to match, so you can kind of pay a little bit more of a premium there. But I don't even know what those sell for these days. I'd bet it's $1,200 or better. Loose complete. Those are awesome figures, and like I said, those wings are just always snapped off.
Yeah, that's why I say it's very hard to find these guys
Not
complete.
just missing. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I had I had Donatello. I always thought the Michelangelo one was pretty cool too. I mean, it's pretty much just a metalhead sculpt, right?
It's metalhead with green chrome paint over it. This is when they were using spray over chrome paint. It was a big thing, and then stolen from other toy lines, like we said. And then you have the Warrior Rocksteady that none of them work. There's no mint copies of that figure that exist at all, ever.
What?
They don't exist. In the package, out of the package, doesn't matter. It's one of the funniest things. I seen one of those, has to have been 10, maybe even 12, 15 years ago. Right about the beginning of my collecting. I seen one of those graded by AFA on the card. It was graded an 80, and I looked at it, and I was thinking, how can that be an 80 with all the paint chipping off of it? And I was thinking, well, it might have looked good when it got graded, but we all know that paint just comes off that one, the red paint. And I worked a job where we had to deal with that red paint before, over chrome, the exact same process, and red was always the worst. It was terrible. I don't know why, but it's still the case. And then you got Warrior Chrome Dome, which is a blue Chrome Dome, same exact figure, different colored weapons. You get the purple weapons on that one. The Metalhead Mikey, same thing, green green over the chrome and blue weapons. That one's really cool. I would say Mikey's my favorite out of that bunch, but I do like Warrior Rocksteady a lot too, just because of the mysteries of the figure.
Yeah, it's thanks for those facts. I didn't even know that before with him. So now we go into another set. And again, I'd like to get these plot. I think Turtle Tracks had one of them on, just to ask you guys why there's so many sets with 3 turtles and 2 turtles and half a turtle, and now we go to the Jim Lee ones, which I thought were pretty stellar toys. I like their sculpting. I think they were really far out, and unfortunately we didn't get a Leo. But tell us a little bit about these Jim Lee toys.
Okay, so Jim Lee was a comic book guy that jumped in on some stuff, created his version of Ninja. There was a comic book run with them and Savage Dragon, which is a Jim Lee creation. So Leo was planned and showed up in the Toy Fair catalog. Leo made it to hard copy form for sure. It's a very cool figure. Very similar to the other 3 in sculpt, but with his own badassery. Never made it into production. No idea why, but these figures came with a little comic book that was cool, individual to the figure. And then these ones also come with what I consider the best communicator in the entire line. It really looks like the communicator from the show, so I liked that a lot about these. Other than that, I'm not a big fan, but I could see where you'd think they were cool.
Yeah, for a price too, they're not that. I mean, again, loose incomplete. I've seen them go for what, like 20 to 30, sometimes 35.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing on these is they have funky, like wavy bandanas.
Yes.
So you got to watch out for Mikey's bandana and Raph's bandana and Mikey's nunchucks and Donatello's kind of got like is it a capey type thing? I don't remember, something like that.
Uh,
But
yeah, no, I think they're kind of neat. Like I say, just again for
they're
some reason.
definitely neat, and the accessories are on point.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I don't think I've ever seen a. I'll have to check out the site again, guys. We've been pushing in almost every episode. Is check out tmnttoys.com. You can click here to get your your toy checklist. You can click on each turtle, and you'll usually 99 times out of 100, you click and it can show you all the accessories for your checklist as well.
Yeah, he's pretty good on that site.
Yeah. So all right, let's go to one that's kind of beefy that I didn't know until I got a Shellonomics, turtle toy education from you and our buddy John Coleman. These Metal Mutants, I thought they were just a figure. I didn't know they had all these, crazy armor that comes with them. How hard are these guys to complete?
Yeah, so the Metal Mutants was another line brought over Japan in the Takara line. So it was smaller versions of the figures, and they had armor that went, and the armor was their spirit animal. Once again, I think there was a manga or anime or in Japan based on this. Not exactly positive on this, but there's definitely like mini comic books and stuff that came with the figures. So the armor could be taken off and turned into whatever animal it's supposed to be. Shredder is like a tiger, Leonardo's the dragon, Raph's a phoenix, Mikey's a beetle, which is kind of weird but cool at the same time.
Maybe a shot at the big bad
No.
Beetleborgs.
Yeah, it's something. It's similar. And I said Leo was a dragon. Leo's not a dragon. Don is a dragon.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. I got the side up here. Let's see. So you got Mikey is a beetle, Shredder's a tiger, Leo is the dragon, Donatello is an L word. Wizard of Oz? Lion?
Oh, okay, that's right. But he's got wings. That's what,
yeah, it's a weird.
yeah. Okay, I knew it was something like I was trying to think in my head. I could figure, but the accessories here are really cool. Leo's going to be the most valuable loose complete out of this bunch, just strictly based on the accessories that you need. There's a little clip for his sword that makes his spirit animal stay together when it's in loose form, and makes it stay on him when it's on him. So, I don't know, Leo's probably in that one, maybe. Everybody else is going to be at least $100, right around there. Tough to find complete, and especially with good chrome. Mikey and Raph again with that red chrome. Mikey with the orange chrome, which is similar to red. They tend to peel quicker than the others.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Now, where in the world can you find these dudes? These little, I thought these guys were pretty rad, and this will close out 95. Ninja Shooters. Were these sold in American stores?
Yeah, so they're marble shooters. They're based on another Japanese one called Bidaman. So it's B-D-A-M-A-N. Or something similar to that. I know because in America we got, which was a chrome version of whatever color that your turtle was, purple, red, orange, and blue. So Japan had a release where they were actually like turtle colors, so the green skin with their bandanas. They're very cool. And then Japan also had for their fan club a mail where you could get a gold chrome set of these, and they are super expensive, hard to find, and super collectible. I've only seen a couple sets ever pop up over the years. They're awesome.
Those exist.
So this is basically. You ever played marbles when you were a kid?
Yeah, a little. Not. No, actually, no. I've seen it. I've seen it in Three Stooges.
You understand the concept? You got to shoot their marbles out of the ring.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's how that works. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a ring, and then your marbles are in there, and right?
Okay.
These little guys shot a marble, and I think something like that. There's a game involved there.
Okay, so that's how that works. Now, I think I did have these guys, but do all of them come with a weapon?
Yeah, they do. It's a little black weapon, and for every release, the
Okay.
weapon is the exact same.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, it's very small, but it fits perfectly in the hand. They all come with like a marble.
Okay, so that's a good to know. All right, guys. Just so you know, Josh and I are planning on doing a special just with the minis alone. That's a very thick line. So
Yeah,
we're gonna save
that's a
that.
whole different. That's a whole different subject.
Yeah, that's a real cool one to talk about too. But again, we're just doing the Playmate, kind of like the core toys for these first few episodes. So now we are in 1996. Like Josh mentioned before we went live, we're not going to talk about them, but there are re-releases. So we've already talked about them when their original release date. Is there any difference in value? I guess we could just touch that just for about like a minute. Compared to the re-release versus the original, like it's not like cards where some cards, will say first edition on the card. I don't think there's anything to
So
that. So
on the re-releases, the only one that's going to be worth more is that Ninja Power Drop and Raft that I talked about before with the blue accessories.
okay,
I believe all the rest of them Ninja Power ones are less valuable than their other counterparts.
okay.
Like loose, it's going to be the same, but on the card, it's less.
Yeah. And fun fact here on TMNT Toys, which is what we talked about again. This is why it's we appreciate your valuable knowledge here, Josh. Is the Ninja Action Turtle re-release, like you say, Michelangelo's not here in this re-release, which is why he's a more.
No, they didn't release them because of the whatever kid getting hit in the eye or whatever it was.
Oh man, always something. I hope the kid is okay, but just there's always
Well, yeah, some kid's mom sued somebody and then
yeah,
ruined it for the rest.
same thing with the hot coffee at McDonald's.
That's why we don't have pool slides on the playgrounds no more.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate. Again, very happy I grew up in the time I did. So
Absolutely.
so we're going into 1996, and we've got these now. I don't know what they were going with here in '96. Maybe they were trying to make WWF wrestlers. These coil force turtles. I didn't really care for them too much, but I'm curious on your take here because they do have some good value.
Coil Force Turtles, they were trying out the spring action. I think all the leg and arm joints all have like a spring action. So when you pull that arm or leg back, it like ping, comes back. That's where the name comes from. Like you said, the design is cool. The mold, the head sculpts are definitely cool. But overall, the figures just kind of fail. They're kind of janky. They reused the Shogun weapons here. So your Coil Force and your Shogun all have the same weapons and same weapons variants.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that's nice to know. So if you're ever looking for, Shogun Mikey weapons and all you can find is Coil Force weapons, they're the exact same. Blue and purple for Mikey and Raph. Yellow and black for Don and Leo.
And some random names here too. Lickety Split Leonardo is on
Lickety Split Leo, yep.
the script sheet.
He gets with it.
Coil Cool Donatello, Mighty Mech Michelangelo. Try saying that 10 times fast. And also is
Rapid Recoil and Raph.
yeah, the other. I don't know. Maybe they just gave. I don't know if they asked kids to do a survey and name those toys, but it is what it is.
I would say some guy like quit the very next day after he named them.
Right, I mean, well,
He's like, I'm done. I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much been almost a near decade of destruction, like the Undertaker had in the WWF back in the day.
Yeah.
The cartoon was coming to an end. Their last 8 episodes aired in 1996. Now, these dudes, again, this is more of a Power Ranger take, I guess, or some sort of mech in Japanese. The Mutaforce Turtles. I think you have one for us you want to show us?
I got a couple here. This one's Donatello. Mutaforce. So this is going to be like, what the hell were those guys called? The mech suit guys. Exo Squad. This is going to be their take on Exo Squad. So yeah, once again, we're stealing another. But Ninja Turtle does it better here. So inside the little suit, you got a little miniature version of the little, got a little globes Donatello shaped shield thing. He comes with a gun and a little missile in his shoulder cannon. There's little hydraulic hoses going all the way around the face. These figures all have shoulder pads, elbow pads, knee pads. So, tough to complete. Loose complete, you're probably $150 to $200. I also have a Raph here, so I'll pull that one up to show you.
Well, it's
like
the
I said,
the turtle face is like their chest almost. Wow.
Yeah, it's because it's the little shield that goes over their body.
Now, a quick question too for you, Josh, is 2003 they re-released those guys, right? Because when I bought mine, oh, I think we lost him. Let's see if he comes back. No.
I call Max popular time controlled motors with a computer, and we just thought that was the coolest stuff in the world. So I definitely remember the big. I never had these, but as an adult, it's one of my favorite lines. They're very hard to complete, and like I said, they're probably in the 150 to maybe range.
Damn, those are some pretty rad too. Thanks for showing us Donatello and Raph over there. All right, I think we're down to 3 more sets left, and then real quick though, I wanted to bring up is like I was trying to say, 2003 had something very similar to those little guys. I got not had, but the little dude inside, it's almost the exact same.
Absolutely, they were released singly and in a 4-pack, but they're darker skinned. So these ones have a glossy paint on them. You can see they have that glossy vintage paint. And then they also have a little sticker on their belt. You can see Donatello has that little D on his belt. The 2003 ones are flat, so they don't have a gloss to them at all. They don't have painted knee pads or elbow pads, just the top bandana. And they don't have the little sticker on their belt. They will work as a placeholder. They fit perfectly. They're the exact same mold, but they're not the same.
Okay. Now these are some weird ones here. As we go into 1997, I don't know where this came from. These are the Mutant Masters.
Your Masters, once again, this is something we took from Japan and brought it over here. They're weird. This is the Captain Planet ripoff. So we've got fire, water, earth, that kind of thing. Each one of the turtles represents. They've got all sorts of armor pieces and weapons. The big thing about this line is all the armor and all the weapons are very brittle in this line. They will break. Loose. The Mikey, his bow and arrow thing is always broke. Raph, his chest armor is always broke. So these are very tough to complete, and that's why they're as pricey as they are.
And they're almost like the mutation toys, right? Because it seems like a big stocky figure, and then you can make them like a skinny turtle, I don't know, or whatever.
Yeah, and the heads flip around. There's 2 different versions of the head. Like one's like Super Saiyan mode, and one's regular. I think. I don't know. They're kind of weird to me. Like I said, Japan, these ones, because I spent so long trying to complete them, and I kept getting parts in the mail that were broken, or like I'd go to put them on a figure and break. These ones kind of made me lose my mind, and I did not care for them in the end. So I'm not a fan, but
Yeah.
they're really cool, just not well done.
Yeah, just like a couple other toys here. And speaking of not well done, I am not having our run end on these here. These are the Stretch Armstrong parody figures, the Stretch figures. I owned a Shredder. I had a Leo that looked like his goose was cooked. What can you tell us about these figures for those who don't know what a Stretch Armstrong is? Again, not everybody's our age listening to this on
Okay,
Spotify.
so back in the day, they figured out that if you took a rubber body and filled it with corn syrup and sealed it, you could stretch it pretty far, and it would go back to where it was. And it was a great idea, but it doesn't last forever. And kids are demons, so you can't have a rubbery balloon anything without it getting chewed on, stabbed, popped, or as everybody says, they want to know what's inside of it. It's just like when Vac-Man came out. And mine never had one because we didn't, but my buddy did, and he cut his open to see what was inside of it, and it was just like styrofoam balls. These are cool figures to me, but poorly done because they don't last. If you find one that's hard and doesn't have any holes in it, you can put them into warm water. Just lay them in a bowl of nice warm tap water. They will soften back up to where you can stretch them, but you still have to be very careful because they're super easy to rip, tear, poke a hole in, anything like that. The weapons for the turtles are super janky and are supposed to fit over their chubby little arms. They basically have snakes for hands and feet.
I love how not only vintage retro gamers but also vintage toy collectors use the word janky. So it makes you feel good being in both worlds.
Yeah, just one of them terms that came about that I still like, you know what I mean? You can be janky. But so anyway, definitely, but I will say Shredder's weapon in this one is huge, and it's one of my favorite weapons in the whole. His mace is so big, it has to it's as big as some of the vintage figures. It's nuts. It has so much plastic in it. So you're going to get 4 different color variants for the, just like you do with a lot of them. Blue, is it blue, red, purple, blue, red, purple, and orange? Blue, red, purple, and orange, that sounds right. Anyway, yeah, cool figures, bad design. I love them. I think they're cool.
Yeah. Well, what I liked was with just the threat drops in regards of your lab experience. I mean, that's what me and my brother did. It's like we just kept pulling. We're like, there's got to be an end to this guy, and eventually we get there, and it's like we're gonna cut ourselves on his hand. It's pretty dangerous if you actually rip that guy apart and stretch him as far as he can go with all that metal inside.
Well, and then when somebody grabs him by the leg and just swinging him around in circles, that becomes a weapon. That becomes a weapon pretty quick.
Well, yeah, it's an automatic concussion if you knock some kid out with that toy. Oh man! All right, and then finally for the whole run, they go out with Jurassic Park Dino figures here.
Okay.
Let's bring it in with these guys because these guys, I like these dudes. This is a good way to end it.
Very, very cool sculpts on these. They basically took a brand new sculpt, these dino stylized Ninja Turtles, and they used some of the WWE wrestlers' action, movements and put them on these figures.
Wow.
Because they've got swinging arm movements and stuff for their weapons, and it's stuff that we've seen in action figures. Mikey has basically Hulk Hogan's body slam type thing. The one that we don't see in wrestling figures is Shredder had the snapping jaw, but each of the turtles on Raph kind of has a slam down motion that I'm pretty sure a couple of the wrestling figures had. Very cool sculpts, awesome figures. These ones actually look like a lot of thought went behind the figures. But what the fuck is the story?
Yeah.
Why are they're turtles?
Yeah.
Why are we making them dinosaurs? I thought it was cool when the turtles had pet dinosaurs, but now you made the Ninja Turtles into dinosaurs. To me as a kid, I never would have believed. But as a collector, I wanted them because of how cool they are. They're super expensive. Uh, Shredder, you always got to watch out for the. Uh, that's a big thing. Make sure the action's working on all of these. If you're on Mikey, he's got like a really long claw, like Wolverine type piece on the hook connects, glues into his hand. That's missing a lot of time. Super expensive figures. The 4 turtles are a couple $100, probably in the 200 to 300 range, maybe a little more. I'm not really positive on that. I'm sure. I'm sure Shredder's probably got to be in the 750,000, 1,200 range, probably.
Yeah, and that's loose complete. You want to make sure they got good paint too. I sold a Leonardo last month for about I think it was like 100, 115 or something like that. Just loose complete.
Just the figure.
Yeah, actually still work. And the paint was kind of a little janked. Not like flawless, but still, they're good figures. And I got that just actually we'll bring it up in a few minutes here. Like if you guys stick around for the end. But did you have a favorite in this one? I always thought the Shredder was cool, but it was always hard to find his mouth.
Yeah, I owned 2 Shredders over the years. Both of them I completed. On Shredder, you got to watch out. Seen that repro accessories do exist for that one, so you make sure you correct colors and stuff. And that pink has a tendency to fade on the Shredder. I think a couple of these figures are notorious for fading. I think I've seen a couple faded Mikeys. So something in the plastic they used on these dinos did a little something. But yeah, Shredder is by far the coolest with his biting action and the tail. And his weapons are just really cool. He's got like a Lord Zed type spear staff thing, but with like a raptor skull head on it. Very cool accessory. I don't know, they're all pretty neat, but like I said, as a kid, I would have never bought any of these. I would have said they were whack. I'd have been like, what the hell's going on here?
Without the internet, I would have known none of these exist. The only ones I would have known it would have existed was the Japanese anime ones, because on the DVD they showed, like, they came with a commercial, kind of like how the Power Ranger VHS tapes had the Bandai action figures. That's the only way. And the last toy I remember as a kid was the cave troll. They saw him at a garage, like, oh, this is kind of cool. Raphael's got a pterodactyl, and maybe think of Kimberly. So we did it, Josh, all the way to 1997. And again, you're one of the few I know who actually had every single toy. So I think we've probably covered most of this in other episodes, but what you know now compared to what you know then with your whole journey, for those listening now, if there's anybody who, I don't know if they want to, but maybe somebody wants to be like yourself and go on a crazy turtle quest and wants to collect every just figure in here, what would you give advice to those people?
I actually know a couple guys right now that are going. They're pretty close. I know a couple guys that like less than 50 away. But do it for fun. That's one thing. Don't do it as an investment, because on some of the figures you're just not gonna. If you want them, fork over the money and just buy them complete. That's a big one for me. And like I said, don't get caught up in the hype trains. I've seen so many different hype. Seems like every year they hype up a different line. It just jacks the price. And like, I remember when I first started the Adventurer Turtles, you could buy them loose complete for probably $30. Sumo Turtles, $50. Now when you're talking like the $1,000 range, I totally get it. But like some of the ones that are garnishing numbers, like I get it when there's a scarcity of the figure, like the White Jersey Don, or the undercover figures where it's like it's literally hard to find them. But when it's the figures that they made thousands and thousands of that are selling the $1,200 range, that kind of doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure the market will level itself out somewhere, but those ones are still going to stay up there. They may not stay as high as they are, but they're going to retain most of that value. We both know that.
Oh yeah.
Once something hits a certain price, it's very hard for it to come back from that. That's economics. If I seen one sell for 12.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you guys check out our other episodes, we've talked about budget, we've talked about how to clean your toys, we've talked about how to display your toys. I guess one other question, Josh, is you see a lot on eBay, and it's going for $100, and it's got like because this is what I just did a month or so ago was it has one of those dinosaur toys that we talked about. Now, none of those figures are complete. You're getting, let's just say, again, for the sake of argument, 25 figures, and it's $100 for the lot. But you know that Leo's already going for at least 100. So, do you buy that lot and then try to get some of your money back by reselling them, even though they're not complete? I mean, do you how much knowledge would you need to try that?
So, me, over the years, I've built up just huge bins of accessories. Like out in my shop, I have just trays full of Ninja Turtle accessories, all kinds of toy accessories, way too much. Anything toy related is out there. So when I buy a lot of, if it doesn't come with any accessories, I'm able to pair it up with accessories or things like that, because I've been doing this for the long haul. As somebody that is new to collecting, my knowledge, my thoughts would be, if you get some extras, just put them back on eBay and let them sell for whatever they sell money. Because being a reseller, you got to be dedicated to it for it to be worth it. I've been doing it on eBay full time for a few years now, so it's a little easier for me, but it's still not easy. You also, I go to the post office 4 days a week. I'm always buying shipping supplies. I'm always weighing packages or communicating with people. I want to combine shipping on this for you ship to this country. On some of the high-end stuff, it's do you take a payment plan or this, that, and the other, or even watching out for scammy people. Even selling on eBay, I've had people tell me I sent them broken figures, and when you ship as many figures as I do, and you've touched as many, ship them with the care that I do. It's kind of unrealistic when somebody says. That's why I always make people return the item if they want refund, no matter what. I don't care if it's smashed into a million pieces. I would like you to return it, and then I'll gladly send you a refund. But there's just a lot to deal with in the reselling days, especially all the taxes and stuff. Like I get a 1099. I file my taxes on it, but it's because I do it as a side business. But in the coming years, I have a feeling that crack down a little on stuff like this. So some of the guys you see doing it now that tell you they can only take friends and family and this and that, that's kind of going to the wayside as people scam people, basically.
It's $3 extra, guys. I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, that's all. It's like, come on, if you're spending $60,
it's part of doing business. It's the same thing as when you go to the Mexican 3% extra.
Yeah.
Like if either I go get cash ahead of time and I make that transaction, or I pay the 3%, it's cool either way. I'm not gonna lose my mind over. I just chalk it up to part of doing business. eBay takes a percent from me too. I chalk that up. If I was in a flea market or an antique store, I would be paying for a booth. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's part of doing business. But all that stuff, like for me, I write it off on my taxes. I do it properly. So all my postage supplies and my time, my shop is my home office for that. I don't know. That's where I take all my eBay pictures and have my stuff. So there's pros and cons to it for sure, but if you're not going to be dedicated to it, it's going to be really hard to succeed.
And the ease of eBay too is, again, I've done some offer up sales and Facebook Marketplace. They're cool, but again, just driving and dealing with people. With eBay, it's just, hey, I throw it up there. Again, you
Facebook
sometimes
marketplaces, well, that's a whole different ballgame around where I'm from.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You might need some strange people.
That's what I mean. That's why it's easier sometimes. That's why my buddy who's said, Mike, I'll let you sell my stuff for me. I'll take care of you, just because he's like, he doesn't want to deal with the people. It's like, and on eBay, like say, put it up for an auction. There's a chance you get a non-paying bidder, and you gotta wait. Do buy it now. Although buy it now is kind of the way to go, unless you have that undercover turtle or something that goes for. I would say maybe I would to be honest, I would say only $100 and up. If you're gonna toy that's in the $40 to $70 range, just put it up there. Let them make an offer. If you get $5 less, so what? Go on to the next toy. Because, like you say, the market value right now in 2025, I would say, is not really going to change in the next, I would say, year or two. I could be wrong, but I guess, let me ask you, Jess, where do you see the market going for the vintage toy line pending re-releases? Let's say there's no more. Let's say there's no more reissues of Scratch, and that your hot spots. And
yeah, there's a lot of factors that come into play. No matter what anybody says, the action figure market is still in the developing stages. I mean, we've had some action figures make some runs. Star Wars action figures started in '77. The tall G.I. Joe figures started in the '60s. You got the Mego figures and the Big Jim figures and stuff like that. So we can look back at some toy lines and kind of predict where we're going to be in the future. But anybody that thinks that they have any kind of like, oh, this is 100% of what's going to happen, I'm investing in these because the price is going to go up. Like you said, with Playmates doing the re-releases and how they affect value and the supply and demand, and then the age group collectors, Ninja Turtles in all reality, I'm 40 years old. I don't remember if you said you're a little younger than me.
I'm right with you. Maybe by a couple months now. I was in that class of '99, class of '03.
Okay, yeah, that's me. I graduated in '03. So according to the Star Wars market, we're right at one of the first big peaks. This is where our generation starts to get disposable income. This is where our children are starting to get into high school, out of high school. We start seeing some empty nesters in our kids have completely moved out. And then, your $400 a week grocery bill goes down to $150 a week grocery bill because it's just you and your wife. Well, you get more disposable income, or your house is paid off, or your car is paid off. Things like that. So if you look at it that way, Ninja Turtles is kind of at its first peak, and we're going to kind of see ups and downs. We're not going to... but, probably in the next 10 years or so, we see another peak, and then we'll see some more downs and some more ups. But, we don't really know because nothing's been around back on fully and be able to predict it. Like I said, we can look at Star Wars. Star Wars is the best predictor, but it's not exactly the same market. No matter what anybody wants to think, Star Wars is a bigger market than Turtle. It just is.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And what's different now too is when we were
there's going to be people that argue that. You know what I mean? That, Mike.
Of course, yeah. No, me and you aren't like that. Yeah, exactly. It's tomato, potato, tomato, all that stuff. But
exactly. It just
the other factors I want to bring in too, though, it's a different now. When we were collecting, if you guys are listening on Spotify, I appreciate that. Be sure to give us a follow there. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us a subscription because Josh can't see this right now. But if he checks out the YouTube video, I have a photograph. I took this before I sold my collection. I have about 3 shelves of my run of turtles. Now, a lot of them are loose, but the advice I would give people is, like we said before in other videos, enjoy the ride. have fun making friends on this journey. Tell people you're going for it. Make YouTube videos. Share your journey. Write in a journal. Just share your stories of, hey, I found this guy at a flea market for $10. I made a trade with Josh and we hooked each other up. And now, you know, like you said, we've made tons of great friends just from being a toy collector.
I've made so many. I've met people I've met in person. You know what I mean? People, I travel to Nashville once a year to meet up with, met in these toy collecting groups. My first trade in the Ninja Turtle world was Jerry Wisnowski. Never met him. And I had these Mego Star Trek figures. He traded me a hotspot. You know, we'd never met each other. We just traded in the mail. I sent stuff to him. He sent stuff to me. Well, it turns out he's the biggest frickin' Ninja Turtle collector, mint-on-card collector on the planet. He's got doubles there. You know what I mean? And so that blossomed into me knowing new Ninja Turtles. He introduced me to a couple Ninja Turtles. And I met Jeremy DeWitt through the Facebook groups. Never got to meet him in person, but I haven't. But I met him. He created the TMNT Live Forever, which was huge when I first started collecting. And then, you know, there's all the other groups that have been created, the Vintage TMNT Toys group. And, I mean, there's just so many cool ones over the years. I've been part of so much stuff and met tons and tons of people. I've met cool people. I've met dickheads. I've met people that lost energy hating over how I collect. So there's a whole world out there, and there's so much good in it. Very little bad, but avoid anything you can do to get scammed, and that's just either reference check somebody. Anybody that says you can't reference check me, Facebook stuff, that's a scammer.
Yeah.
You should be able to just type into the group, hey, I'm looking for a reference. If it's anybody legit whatsoever, 100 people will chime in. I tell people that when I'm selling, I'm like, hey, I prefer reference check. Feel free, go ahead.
And that's been around since the beginning of time. I did reference checks when I was in the sports collector before I even got into Turtles back in the early 90s when internet first started out. My pop still does it. Just a quick and for those who are listening, like Josh and I, we're gonna plug Josh's stuff again at the end of the video, like we always do. But guys, have any questions? You can either ask one of us or don't be afraid to ask the community. There's a lot of good people out there in this community that want to help people. So you know, you can post, hey, is this a good price? And if someone gives you a smart aleck comment, just leave them alone. Because again, not everybody knows everything. I would also other advice I'd like to share on my journey when I was going for this is it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like Josh says, don't get burnt out on this trying to get every toy. Some of these are damn near impossible to find unless you're going to shows and you know like that.
Yeah,
stuff,
it took me like solid 8-9 years, man. Like I wasn't like actively trying to get them all that whole from the start to the finish. It was some years, man.
Yeah, it's just a good feeling. You do it for fun because I treat this almost like, I mean, I guess this is gonna may kind of sound a little silly, but I do my toys are kind of like how some people have fish. You know, you got that nice tank, you know, you got the nice aquarium, you know, a couple cool neons or some expensive fish. Maybe a couple cool little flashy toys in there. And it's looking, I see those toys. Like I got a couple still in my room over here now. And it just gives me peace. Just like and for some people, it's a way to escape. You know, like the 9 to 5, you know, it's a way to like, look, this is my fun hobby here.
Absolutely. And then just the nostalgia of it, like picking up like a Sewer Surfing Leo and just thinking back, like it's great, man. Like I said, I think the footski very vividly as a kid, the party bus, the party bus, the rock and roll. I had that. I had the mutant module. My brother had a sewer playset, and I just remember just playing the hell out of that, swinging from the telephone poles and stuff. There's just good vibes all around, and I love how you said it was a fish tank because, like, when you have fish, every once in a while you want to switch out you're tired of those fish. And I just went through that with some of my figures. Like, I'd had some of the high-end figures for so long that they almost meant nothing to me. And I hate saying that,
Yeah.
but like, you know, when they're in a case in your house and you walk by them, what is it? What is it really? So
Yeah.
I kind of altered my focus to get me back into the group, back interested. It's been a lot of fun.
And just they say, even with eBay, sometimes like what was cool for me is just another heartwarming story is just when because you just let go of a couple of your big pieces. So when I was selling mine, I think I picked a good time too. It was again, I hope and no, let's not talk about what the real world, but when COVID was around, people were getting their surplus money. So in my mind, like we talked about, some people were blessed to have this as just as bonus income to blow on whatever they wanted to. And I sold my toys at a good time. But what was cool was there was somebody on eBay in a different country and the mom said, "Hey, I'm looking at my son likes vintage Ninja Turtle toys, and I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I actually wrote like a nice little note, and it was almost like Toy Story 4 doesn't exist for me. I know people are going to comment on that, but that's fine. But Toy Story 3 is where it ended when Andy passed his toys on, and that was kind of my moment where I read a little like, "Hey, these guys, have been around for a while. Hopefully, you take good care of them, and hopefully, you pass them on to your kids or somebody else down the road." So, did you ever have that feeling when you were passing a couple toys? Either a collector or like one of your favorites?
Absolutely. Like my nephews and nieces and stuff, like whenever they would come over and I'd have my big display room, my boys always collected with me, so it wasn't anything there. They were used to me having a collection. But whenever nephews and nieces would come over, they were always that I had toys. Like Uncle Josh has toys. And I would always let them play with them. Like, it didn't matter what it was to me. If my boys wanted to Scratch, my boys played with Scratch. I didn't give a shit. I mean,
Yeah,
to me,
exactly.
it was something that's out on my shelf. My kid could have an adventure with that. I don't have the imagination abilities anymore, or you know, uh, I quit believing or whatever Peter Pan. So they would always come over, and I was big on giving them some Ninja Turtles. Take these ones with you. Keep playing with them. I love that.
No, I agree. I'm
I
trying to
don't
think
know,
of.
like and I always try to tell people like, Ninja Turtles is as big as it is because it's never stopped. There's always a new iteration to appeal to a new generation. And then we're in all these Facebook groups, and there's nothing worse than when a new Ninja Turtles comes out, and you have 50 and 40-year-old men bitching about it.
Yeah,
It's like, well, it's not fucking made for you, you fucking
yeah,
clown.
exactly. Would you like I dare, and I've talked about this with the other episodes I've been, with our television is our cartoon. I'm sorry, didn't age that well. It's the
No,
first and
it's
second,
kind of
yeah,
terrible if you watch the first season.
yeah. I mean, we pretty much my buddy Donnie and I call it in the later seasons. The way to make it fun is if you think of it as Adam West Batman. That's the only way you can make it fun because of the zany stories and the zany gadgets and the violence is out of the show. The comedy is good thanks to the voice actors and a couple of but I agree. I mean, now look, I didn't like the mutant movie, but I don't go crying to everybody about it. If it's just
Well,
not for me
no,
because it wasn't a target audience for me. And like you say,
I told people in 1990 when the first movie came out, six.
yeah,
That's who the target. We were the target audience,
yeah,
right? So that's who the target fucking. So of course I'm not
yes,
gonna like a picture.
right,
I'm 40. I
right,
shouldn't.
exactly.
But I brought my kids there. We actually went to the drive.
Nice, and they loved it.
I
That's
had all
good.
my Ninja Turtles on display at the drive-in and dressed up. Met all the kids and stuff that came. It was fantastic.
And that's what it's supposed to be. Again, like that's why and again, the only generation that doesn't understand Ninja Turtles are our parents because they didn't have a generation before ours since we were the
No,
first ones of
it's
turtles.
hilarious. My grandma called them Ninja Turtles. She's like, you still collecting them Ninja? And I would just laugh every funniest thing.
Oh man, yeah, just so many good memories. Now, where do you think these are going to stand in the test time? Because all we've done, folks, is the vintage toy. We haven't talked about 2003, Next Mutation. Nowadays you've got NECA, Playmates is doing remaster Turtles, reissues. So where do you think these
So
vintage toys are going to stand, man?
so I always tell people, just like Star Wars never stopped. 1977 to the present, they've been making some form of Star Wars, whether it be toys, movies, comic books, board games, video games, you name it, cartoons. Star Wars is there. They've been going from 77, uh, just like us. Okay, we started in 1984 as a comic book and been going ever since. From comic book to the Dark Horse figures to the action cartoon to the movies to the 2003 series Next Mutation. So we've never stopped. Star Wars never stopped. As far as I'm concerned, there's only toy lines who have done that so far. G.I. Joe stopped a little bit in the middle. Cat stopped. He-Man stopped, or Masters of the Universe, whatever you want to call it. So we're the only ones that have continued to go the way we have. You know, Star Wars got bought out by Disney. We got bought out by Nickelodeon. So similar, you know what I'm saying? Not the same, but similar. Viacom or whatever you want. So Ninja Turtles will hold the test of time. How long depends on what Nickelodeon decides to, you know, as long as we keep getting the movies and the intro, you know, like people complain about the new ones, but as long as we keep getting that, the vintage toys should do well. 90s is still really big right now. It's a big thing. It's going to be for at least the next 10 to 15 years, you know. But after that, what happens? I don't know, because when you look at Star Wars, their main collectors should be retiring and selling off their collection. It's what should be happening.
I agree. Just a couple quick
But it's not all of them are, so it's not really, like I said, it's really hard to say what's going to happen, like I talked about earlier. But I see good things in the future, and I definitely see good things for early runs, soft heads, and stuff like that. I see their prices getting better and better as more people become interested.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. Just a couple more rapid fire before we bring this in for a landing. So, what
Okay.
we've got just an imaginary. Finally, we'll just say I don't even want to think of this, but we're 60. We're both 60 years old, and there's finally a Ninja Turtle museum. They've got some cool collectibles from the movies. What is your Mount Rushmore of toys that deserve to be in there? And I would say the original set obviously counts. So I guess pick 4 other ones because it's already a staple. The original ones, the soft heads for me.
Okay, so I can pick 4 sets.
Yeah, that don't include the first one because the first one's probably going to be on display right when you walk in the place. So if you got 4 others that you'd want people to remember for ages, like it's not a time capsule, it's a museum, but you know what I mean. Just pick 4 of them. It doesn't have to be your favorites. Just which ones that stand out and why.
You're putting the undercover turtles in there.
Okay.
Just sheer coolness factor. They've got the most accessories. They've got the cloth coats. Every kid remembers them cloth coats. It's just a cool figure. People who say they don't like them, it's generally because of how expensive they are.
Yeah.
If you've ever had one with the cloth coat, they're cool as shit. So I'm saying that. I'm gonna say the entire 1989 run, just because it's all main characters, big characters to me. Then I'm gonna say, the Super Mutant line, just to show the worldwide spread of the turtles.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna say the Euro Blue accessories run, like 12 figures. Okay. I would have them in there just to show that.
Yeah, I would say I'm right with you. The only one I would probably add, it would be a little different, would either be the movie star sets, just to talk about the movies for pop culture, and then maybe somewhere they could throw just as a runner-up the Mutation Turtles, just because I just think that was a cool thing to do it in a creative 90s kind of toy. But I'm with you on the Super Mutants, so yeah, I'm pretty much right with you with those. Any final thoughts? I mean, like I say, we're gonna hopefully get you guys at least 2 or 3 more episodes in regards to the minis and some play sets, but Any final thoughts on this whole journey, man? Thanks for being there with me, dude. We did it.
It's been great. I really enjoy this, with the Facebook page and the different Facebook groups and just people in general. I will be hopefully speaking up at ICC about collecting toys coming up soon here in Nashville on May 16th through the 18th. And then I'll be meeting up with you to speak about toys and meet up about toys. Really, I'm hoping we do some more episodes and get the vehicle sets, all that good stuff. And even when you get past the figures, the Ninja Turtles has so much weird merchandise that you could just collect forever. Even when you run out of figures, there's so much to collect.
Yeah, especially in that Turtle Mania line. Well, Josh, once again, thank you for being here. And where can people find you to get some more coverage here on some toys?
Yep, I'm just Josh Melchert on Facebook. Josh Melchert's Visual Guide to TMNT. On eBay, I'm just Melchert's Guide. All those stores and Facebook page should start back up tomorrow. I did take a hiatus from them just to reorganize and stuff, but I'm just about through that. So within the next couple of days, people should start seeing me on the social medias again. Other than that, hit me up on Facebook and message me anytime if you have any. Like I said, you can just personally message me. I'm a normal guy. May not answer right away, but I answer.
All right, Josh. Well, as always, dude, thank you for your time. Go ahead and give us that final saying one last time on this journey here, and we'll bring it in.
Enjoy and remember to collect them all.
All right, my man. Take care, Josh. All right, that's always good stuff right there. I love that man. Good dude, good dude. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube and Spotify.